Blog Talk Radio.
Appeared before the Congressional Committee to tell what I knew of activities which might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it, and he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret.
It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
I'm Jim Tucker. I've chased Bilderberg for 30 years. I'll never give up the chase. Bilderberg's plan for the whole world is nothing less than world government.
I'm not comfortable with that at all. Who elected these guys to run the planet?
They are the elitists. They feel they should run the world for their own selfish interests.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
Bilderberg is making great progress toward a world government, and only an educated, informed public can stop them in their tracks.
David Rockefeller admits in his own memoirs that he wants to destroy the United States. Right. He's a traitor.
It's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations. As Pete mentioned, I've been a member for a long time and was actually a director for some period of time. I never mentioned that when I was campaigning for re-election back home in Wyoming.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories.
I need you to move off the property, please.
Some shots were fired.
There's Bilderbergers right there.
The Trans-Texas Corridor is a vital part because we stop here in Texas. We stop the new world order right here in Texas.
This thing started here. And to save this country, we kill this damn thing here.
A chance for the President of the United States to carry out a phrase his father used, and that is a New World Order.
Your New World Order will fall. Humanity will defeat you. The answer to 1984 is 1776.
All right, there's a little typewriter there in the background. Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? My name is Joseph Gibson. This is Blog Talk Radio, understanding the times in which we all live in today. Do you understand? Most of you don't. Sometimes I don't even understand, but that's why we're here, so we could talk about the times and days we live in. There was a little phrase I kind of thought of today, and I wanted to say it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to remember it, quite as I recited it to myself when I was thinking by myself, when I was thinking about things to talk about tonight and researching certain articles, news articles, and, reflecting back on what I was actually going to talk about. But as I go on, I'll try to remember it. You know, it's not something I read. It's something I made up. You know, we all can read something and then recite it and claim we thought of it, you know, just like that phrase, you know, what's the only lesson men learn from history is that men don't learn from history. So therefore, history is destined to repeat itself. In essence, that's deja vu. That phrase is, I read that in a book about 10 years ago. So, you know, and that's been recited many times. We know men never learn from history. And we all know we are judged on our past deeds. And that is a problem with the way the world operates today. We all reflect negatively on what people did in the past. Why? Is your past supposed to be the measure of your character today? Is that how you're supposed to measure a man's character today, what they did in the past? Well, that's the way the world works, yes. What experience do you have? What have you been through? What do you know? What have you done in your life? If you've done bad things, they're going to judge you for what you've done bad. And no matter if you fulfilled your sentence or not, right? That is one of the major screw-ups of mankind, in my opinion. By researching world history, U.S. history, and understanding society in a whole, I believe is a mistake. I believe we should measure a man on his actions of what he is doing today. Because when we measure a man's actions of what he is doing today and his character of today, then we can only assume and predict the future for that individual. If I was going to hire somebody and he is doing well today and doing great and his character is absolute perfect and he's doing the right thing, then therefore I can only assume by his actions of today he's going to do well tomorrow. Obviously, those of us out there who are not doing well today, we're not going to do well tomorrow. Those of us who are not doing the right thing today, we're most likely not going to do the right thing tomorrow. So why not judge those who are doing the right thing today? And they're out there working hard. They're trying to get ahead. You know, they're living an honest and moral lifestyle. Why not give those people a judgment and a character measurement of what they're doing today? Why not do that? See, we don't do that. That's why a lot of people who come out of prison, they're unable to get a job. Because if you were convicted of a felony 20 years ago, you cannot get a job. Okay? You can't do a lot of things because you are judged on what you did years ago, even though you're a good person today. It doesn't matter. So therefore, they're setting the scope against you. They're setting the world against you right off the onset. Because let me tell you something. If you were a troublemaker years ago and you screwed up and you made a lot of mistakes and everyone continuously holds it against you, how the hell are you supposed to move forward and get ahead in life? How are you supposed to? How? When you are being measured about your past. You're being measured on the content of your past. How can you move forward? That's why we are not moving forward as a society. We are digressing. We are becoming more violent. We're more and more corrupt, more and more immoral. The jobs out there today are fewer and none between. And even if those good jobs out there, nobody qualifies for them. Like I said, I used to landscape. I couldn't even find somebody who knew how to trim a bush. You know, cut a lawn. I'd go out and cut a lawn. The guy's pushing the lawnmower in circles, going around in circles. You can't cut a lawn that way, you idiot. You got to go back and forth, go in circles. Huh. Especially with the floating decks on the lawnmowers now. You're leaving a stripe. You have to go back and forth, back and forth. Don't you know how to cut grass? I've never cut grass before. That's what we got out there today. That's what we got. I got a 21-year-old kid working for me about 5 years ago. It's about 95 degrees outside. Yeah, it's hot and humid. I got about 15 shrubs for him to trim. Okay, I'm going to drop you off here. You trim all these shrubs. trim them up real nice, shape them up real good, and I got to go around the corner, and I'm going to go do this lawn real quick. That's small, okay? Come back, the guy's sitting there on the ground in the shade. I said, what's wrong with you? What, you done? How could you be done that? No, I can't do it. I can't do it. He said, I started throwing up. It's too hot. 21-year-old kid. It's too hot. Oh, my Lord. Oh, no. And he expects to be paid for what he's done today? He expects to be paid? Well, you see, I'm not going to get into the aspects of that, how I did things, but he didn't, and he didn't, okay? I know in Walmart stores and, the corporate world, you have to because that's the law, and then call the labor board on you. But you see, I was doing something as a hobby on the side, and if I needed someone to help me, then, we would just work it out that way, and let's leave it at that, in case any of the scumbags are listening, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the example that I'm trying to make here is that the fact of the matter is these people today, this youth of today is worthless. They are unable to be productive. They're unable to achieve. They're unable to communicate. They're unable to create. And they're unable to be honest. It's the madness of a lost society, as I played for you last week, if you remember that clip. It's the madness of a lost society. Now, you may be saying, oh, that's not true. There's good. Yes, there is some good people out there. Yes. When I'm speaking here, I'm not talking about every single person. I'm talking about in a majority type of sense. We know the majority of our youth today is lost. Common sense. Okay? I put an ad up on Craigslist for somebody for landscaping services, and you should see the trash that called me. First of all, I said call between the hours of 1 and 6. They were calling me at 11 o'clock at night, drunk. You need somebody to help you in the morning? Yeah, I can be there. Yeah, how much, it's crazy today. I said, did you read the ad? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I call you back in the morning? Yeah, you can call me back. And he never does. He was drunk. High or drunk. Because that's what every single person in society today, basically, every single person, well, I can't say that because you're going to take it as an absolute. Most of the people today in society are chemically dependent on some sort of drug. Prescription, by the doctor, illegal drugs, even though most of them should not be illegal, but they're still dependent on it. I just say because they are illegal according to our criminal government, so therefore they're illegal, and that's why I say that. I do not think marijuana should be illegal. As a matter of fact, I don't think any drug should be illegal. You have a right and a choice to, if you want to destroy your life and your body, that is up to you. It's not up to the government to tell you you cannot. However, if you are hurting someone who cannot make decisions on themselves, for themselves, as such as children, then we must use common sense. That's when our law enforcement and our community should step in and put a stop to it. But if a 35-year-old man wants to go out and sniff cocaine or shoot a needle into his arm and get high on the corner, you know what? Go right ahead. Kill yourself. Because if you don't have brains enough to stop at that age, you know what? What good are you anyway? Oh, he needs help. We should help him. There's lots of help out there for people. You can get it. All you have to do is pick up a phone. We all have cell phones today. We all got them stuck up our ass so far that, when an important call comes in, you don't answer it. And we're all on Facebook 24/7, posting pictures of ourselves. Look at me, look at me, look at me, everybody. Oh, today's a special day. Look at me. So I'm going to put a picture of me half naked on Facebook, or I'm going to put a picture of me flexing muscles. Look at me. Because that's what Facebook's all about. Look at me, right? Glamour, vanity. The Bible talks about vanity, very clear, vanity. It's all about you out there. Look at me. Instead of it all being about your neighbor, your family members, your spouses, your children, instead of it being about that, it's all about you. And that's another problem we have in society today that we need to try to figure out. Understanding the times in which we live in today. And those are the problems, and I'm sure most of you must agree with me, that is the problem with society today. One of the major problems that I brought up several here in this introduction. Okay? But back to measuring a person, an individual's content and measurement of a person's content. Okay? And what he is all about. How in the world can you judge somebody for what they did 20 years ago? You cannot. Because what you're doing is you're destroying the moral fabric of society. Because if you don't allow a person to progress or achieve or get better, those who do, and there are a lot of people out there who do learn from their mistakes, therefore you are doing what I said that quote stated. The only lesson that men learn from history is what, right? Repeat it. History repeats itself over and over and over and over because we don't learn from history. And I consistently see that deja vu because what we do is we hold things against people for what they did in the past. You cannot judge a person or their character or their content of that person on what they did in the past. You have got to see what they're doing today and what they are trying to do. And if we understand what is happening today, and we know what we're about today, we can then plan for our future. And we can understand where we're going in the future. Okay? That is my saying. I made that up. If it's written someplace, somebody tell me, but I've never read it. And I've read a lot of books. And I had a lot of time to read a lot of books. Because those of you who know me, you know where I was, how I was trapped and confined in my life. Okay? But instead of lifting weights and playing basketball and doing the wrong thing, I decided to educate myself. But the world is so strong and influential on you that when you become, even though if you're in a closed environment and you educate yourself to become stronger and a morally good person, you're still surrounded by a criminal element when you are in prison or in an institution someplace. So therefore, you have got to try to adapt to that institution or place you are at. So if you are in prison and you're trying to do the you're trying to do the right thing, it is very difficult to do because you have a very serious criminal element surrounding you, living with you day to day, that has nothing to do but plan and conjugate crimes. And that's what they do. Because society wants to judge us for what we had done in the past. Now, I'm not saying the person who raped and murdered a little girl or use common sense here. We all know monsters of society should be locked away and the key thrown away. Okay? And I believe in the death penalty. If our system was just. Our system is not. It's corrupt. So therefore, we cannot put any type of promise or justification in the death penalty today because our system is about money. Okay? It's corrupt. It's broken. It needs to be dismantled and set up from anew. But how can we? Like that video told you. I'm going to repeat what that video says. It's not what I'm saying. How could we rebuild if our foundations are built of sand? We're only going to fall back down again. We have nothing. And our youth is the backbone of our future. And good God, we are in trouble. Just look around. Turn the TV on. Turn this radio on. We are in big trouble, folks. Sometimes I like to take the advice of some of the people that tell me the things that I don't want to believe. Close the door, lock it, deadbolt it, and mind your own business and hide away someplace and just try to get by because the world is so screwed up you can't believe anything you see or hear out there today, even from the people you so-called you should trust. That's what I think, in my opinion, what I learned. Confined in a concrete cell and box because I was set up. Yes, I did do wrong when I was younger. Yes, I played the game. I've told you that many times on this show. It's even written in my book and documented. I lived life in the fast lane. I wanted the quick dollar. Okay? We don't have to get into the aspects of my childhood because I did have a lot of people who were very influential in a positive way. For instance, my uncle out in Wisconsin. I grew up on a farm. I had my grandmother in the mountains of New Hampshire. A very positive, influential aspect on my life. However, with no backbone of a family, what happens? You come back, and what do? You go out and you live according to the way the world teaches you to live. And you want money. And if you get involved with people who are using drugs, what do? You do drugs with them. So now you're hooked on a chemical. Okay? Now what do? You got nothing to turn back to, that's for sure, because I just told you the family's gone. So where do you go? You just keep rolling along until you get to where there's only one place you end up when you live that type of lifestyle. Well, it's one of three places. You either end up in prison, in an institution someplace, or you end up dead. One of three places you end up when you choose a life in the fast lane. So those of you who are young out there listening, if you think you're just going to get by today and you're going to go out there and smoke a joint, or you're going to go out there and sniff a line of cocaine, or you're going to stick a needle in your arm just for a couple more months, you're wrong. You are wrong, and you will be hooked, and you are on the first step of destroying your life. And what did I just tell you? You will end up in one of three places: prison, institution, or casket, death. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I'll tell you something. Most people don't make it through prison and survive. They just keep going back and forth, the revolving door. Or they end up in an institution, rehab centers, mental institutions. You're on prescribed medication. Now the government's got a grip on you. They're prescribing Zoloft, Paxil, all kinds of nonsense for you, Prozac. You're a vegetable. You're all done. Okay, and of course that doesn't help you while you're doing that, so you're still using the drugs while you're on that. Now you're really screwed up. So you end up, really committing crime then. You're not in your right state of mind. Now you become a homosexual, or you become a kook, or whatever, and you really detach yourself and live in a bubble from the rest of society, and you'll never come in contact with good people because you don't want to be around good people because good people don't live that type of lifestyle. So therefore, you have no hope. You're all done. All right. Like I said in the very beginning, judging people, to judge people what they did in their past is a flaw of society big time. And if you disagree with me, you can call me up and disagree and give me the reason why you disagree, or you can agree. We must judge people on the content of their character today and measure men and women on what they're doing today. And only what they're doing today, we will know what they're going to do tomorrow. And we can plan for tomorrow if we understand how people are today. We can't, you just can't judge people what they did years ago because people change. We all say that. We all know that. Times change. Things change. Sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better. So anyone who wants to call in tonight and comment on that, you're more than welcome to. On anything I had to say tonight, hey, if you got something else on your mind, you want to talk about something, or if you have a comment on something other than what I was talking about, you are always more than welcome to say what is on your mind. And John, there in Wallingford, Connecticut. I know last week we had a couple of youths call in to the show. Those of you who don't know that, we had a couple new people call in. And John from Wallingford, Connecticut, we tried to put him in touch with an employment opportunity in Wallingford, Connecticut. And I wish we didn't try to promise him something right off the bat. And we did. We opened the door for him, but we kind of opened the door to a person that is a lost person. This is a person that we can't really vouch for, and we can't say, John, say you know us, because this person is a dirtbag, in my opinion. Okay? Now, he does own a business in Wallingford, Connecticut, and he's out for himself. I'm going to put it out there. He needs to be slapped up a little bit, smacked in the mouth a few times. Okay? Because he really does say the wrong things and he's doing the wrong thing. But he does own a business in the town of Wallingford, Connecticut, and we tried to put one of our supporters who was looking for a job in touch with him. And last night, John did call him, and he did email me and let me know he called him. However, this person told him that he was, because I don't want to put any names out there in front of anybody right now, but those of you who know me personally will know what I'm talking about. This person said it's at the end of the season. Really, he has his number, and he'll call him back in the future. Even though John said, hey, I know so-and-so. I know your dad. I'm struggling here. Do you have anything for me? Can you give me a job? I'm willing to do whatever you want. This is a teenager who wants to go out and work. And this person has the available funds and opportunity to give to this person. And his family members vouched for this person. However, he's so stubborn and ignorant. He only cares about himself. It's at the end of the season. First of all, in the state of Connecticut right now, it's not at the end of the season, John. The grass is still growing. Leaves are going to be coming down as we speak. This is the busiest time of the season for a landscaping business, okay? You are aerating, overseeding, cleaning up weeds, and cutting grass at the same time. This is a very busy time of the season for a landscaping outfit. This is where you make all your money to start for the spring. So he did lie to you on the telephone and tell you that he is at the end of his season. I apologize, John, for that, but maybe we can hook you up with someone else, okay, and try to find you work. Because, that's what, like Mike said out in Wisconsin, this is a self-help show. We have to come together and try to help each other out somehow, some way. And some of you say, well, I can't help anybody out. I'm working 80 hours a week. Now, listen, not every single person. All I'm saying is that word of mouth can spread, and we can all help each other out some way, somehow. That's what we were trying to do last week. And, John, if you are listening, I don't know if you are or not. I can't see because there's about 30 numbers on my screen, and I've been rambling on and paying attention to what I'm saying. But we will try to find you something, but you have to try to help yourself, too, at the same time. Okay? Don't let one person who closes the door in your face shut you down. Don't let one person discourage you. I just told you the moral character of that individual. Okay? In my opinion. Okay? So we'll leave it at that. And anyone else who has anything they want to tell John tonight, they can. But callers, you can call in now. Anyone who wants to press 1, you're more than welcome to. You know what I'm talking about. The number is 657-383-0616, and I got somebody already, so I'll put them on. 336, go ahead. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, this is Bridget from Reedsville, North Carolina.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay. I wanted to comment on your introduction. Yeah, people do have a tendency to judge people in their past. In my personal opinion, if somebody's trying to change, then you should give them a second chance. Because you can't assume that somebody can't change, because you can always change. It just depends on how bad you want to change and how bad you actually want to be helped.
Well, people don't think some people can change. That's the problem. That's why they judge them on the character of their past. For instance, somebody's a burglar and he gets arrested. He goes to jail for 10 years. He gets out. Oh, you're a burglar? That means you're going to steal from me. I can't hire you. So and people justify that. And you know what? I don't think that's true about a person. I believe when someone gets out, they want to try to seek a new opportunity. Most people do. And you know what? If you're going to... It's a difficult situation. It's a difficult topic, actually, to talk about because every person believes a different way or aspect about life. And it's hard to judge people. And if you own a business, would you hire a convicted felon? Would I? I did. But would you? I don't know. Would you? Could you trust them?
I think I would. I think some people hesitate when they own a business, because they don't know exactly what they were convicted for. But if somebody's trying to make a fresh start, then I think you should give them a chance.
Yeah, and that's true. But what about, let's say, a person just gets out of a drug rehab. He was hooked on heroin for 10 years. Are you going to trust this person? Very difficult to do, right? But you have to, because it's the only way we're going to change society. And that's the point I was trying to bring up. It's the only way. It's the only way. You've got to try to put trust in,
it's like, and it keeps, if somebody's got an opportunity put in front of them, they're less likely to go back to what they were doing. If they're truly ready to change and somebody gives them an opportunity, they're less likely to go back. Now, if somebody won't give them an opportunity and they can't find anything and they're struggling and they get defeated, they might say, oh, well, I might as well just go back to what I was doing. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then you get the revolving door of the prison system.
Yep.
Well,
and that's first back up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, a lot of them do go back because they don't get the opportunities. They fill out job applications. They have to check that box that says, have you ever been convicted? And then they don't get the job, and they feel defeated.
True. That's true. You're absolutely right. Well, anything else on your mind? If not, I'll move on.
I was just going to say about the Zoloft you were talking about. I don't know if and drugs like that, or I don't know if people realize how dangerous those are. I've read multiple stories about people that flip out on those drugs, and I've read stories about they said they have urges to kill everybody, to hurt their family, to hurt their children.
Well, is there anyone out there who's on prescription medication and they can comment on that? I know a couple of weeks ago we had Chris. He was a guest. He talked about ADHD, about kids with, ADHD, and he talked about the various medications they tried to experiment with him on and how they didn't work, and some made him crazy, and some did work. But so what I say, stay off any medication, all medications. In my opinion. I've never taken any,
I know if you trace back some of these cases where, you read about the mothers that hurt or kill their children, if you trace a lot of them back, most of them were on some type of drug like that. They were on Zoloft or Effexor or something to that nature.
But I've also heard people who took these antidepressant drugs who actually they worked for them. So you have two sides of the story here.
Well, I think it's because doctors don't take into account that everybody's an individual and the drugs are going to react with somebody's brain chemistry in a very different way. It's possible that some people it makes them go crazy.
Yeah, true. Well, if there's anyone out there in the medical field or anyone who knows anything about prescription drugs, they'd like to, chime in, they're more than welcome to. We can go along that route tonight if you want. We can go off the topic that I was talking about. I'll connect anyone here who wants to chime in about prescription drugs, or if they know anything about prescription drugs. Phone number 657-383-0616. If you're on prescription drugs and they're helping you, then tell us how. If you think they're hurting you and you don't believe in prescription drugs, then press 1, call in and tell us why. Or if you want to comment on the topic that I was talking about tonight, the introduction that I brought forward about trusting people and judging them on their past, you're more than welcome to do that also. Or you can talk about anything else that's on your mind. I got someone else already that's going to go ahead and press 1. Like I said, I asked different callers to try to call in, but hey, if my usual supporters want to chime in, I'm all for that too. Like I said, I give everyone a chance. So go ahead, Merritt in Connecticut. Go ahead, you're on.
Yeah, how's the phone sound this evening?
You sound pretty good.
Okay, yeah, about, trusting people and everything. I'll start off, that was a good introduction you did. Trusting people. Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, and the problem lies with the politicians not changing the laws. I mean, let's face it. If you're handicapped and you're a business and you hire the handicapped, you get big incentives for hiring the handicapped. Well, you know, if you're hooked on drugs or you're an ex-convict or whatever, you're handicapped as well. But I don't think the businesses get any benefits. So they'd be hesitant about hiring somebody like that, because why do that when they've already got the money coming in the other door? And prison, you know, I say the politicians are behind this because, you know, prison is a big business. It's a big business is what it is, because you get these prisoners who work and turn out products. Well, there are people out there making billions of dollars off of these prisoners. And you know what? It's not going back to the taxpayers, that's for sure.
That's
so
true.
It's big business. It's the politicians. It's man in general. It's corrupt. Everything is corrupt. It's about the money for me. It's about the power for me. Screw you. Get this guy back in jail because I'm going to make a fortune off of him. Get these 100 guys back in jail because we're all going to make a fortune off of them, but we're not going to tell anybody.
Well, let me ask you a question. How do they make a fortune off them while they're in prison? How do they do that, in your opinion? I know, but I just want to hear your opinion.
Well, I read some stuff a while back and followed it, and I don't quite remember. But they make products and then they're sold, and you can elaborate on that if you know more. But I've forgotten all about it. But I hear that's what they do.
Well, first of all, the state gets 20. Like for instance, the state that I was in, the state of Connecticut, gets $29,000 per year per inmate. And I'm going to tell you right now, they didn't use $29,000 on me. You know, with 2 sheets and a old beat up dusty mattress, that they spent $29,000 for the electricity for the one light I had in my cell. No. The food they fed me, I don't think so, because they said it cost about 79 cents to feed an inmate each day. So where's the money? Where's it going? You know, so they make money off you. It's about numbers. You know, like you said,
it's all
about
numbers, right? Right, and that $29,000, you know, you got 12 cents for each bar, and so on and so forth, and that's how they'll justify it. But that's just money going around in circles from the taxpayers to the government to back to the local government, back to the taxpayers, in a big round in circle. But it's these individuals, these businesses that get hooked into these correctional places that are making the fortunes off of it, and it's not coming back to us. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not coming back to you in any type of way, by corrections, by real rehabilitation, or by any type of, they employ some correctional officers, but big deal, you know. But,
right.
Yeah, you're right. There's no kickbacks to the community. You're absolutely right. There's no benefit for the community except criminals who are more hardened and more experienced.
Right, and in my opinion, it goes right to the judges, right to the police officers, because they all have a hand in it. When you can arrest this person for X and the judge is totally against X, whether he may be not guilty or guilty, he's going in for rehabilitation or he's going to prison because there's big money in it for the people who had a hand in it. Through other avenues which you aren't being told. So it's all about money, and if we could reform the prison system, because as you know, you get an ex-convict out of jail. If you've been in jail for any length of time, when you get out, you're not going to get any good job. And you've mentioned it before. And if you do get a job, you know, you've got to report every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and your employer agrees to that. 2 weeks later, now he wants to see you on Wednesdays and Fridays at 4 o'clock instead of at 2 o'clock, and now your employer may agree to that. But now he wants to see you on Mondays at 10. You know what? Employers just aren't going to do it. But you know what? If you line their pockets with a little bit of cash, or you line their pockets with a tax break or something like that, they may be more inclined to help the people that really need the help.
Yeah. Well, how about the other thing I was talking about John the other night? He was a teenager that called in. He's talking about he's looking for work. And we tried to hook him up with an individual that we both know in Wallingford, Connecticut. And John did call this person, and I told you what he said. So what do you think in your opinion?
Well, my opinion is there is nothing that John or us can do about it, because we're not going to be doing the hiring. But you gave him good advice, very good advice. Don't let anybody tell you or shut you down. You got to keep on pushing. If you get shut down with the first or 20th no, then you're never going to get anywhere, because America's the land of the free and home of the brave, supposedly, and you can do anything you want. Yes, but you know what? You got to keep trying. If you keep trying.
Well, he was a little discouraged. He was discouraged, and that's what I told him. And now he has not contacted me as of yet since that conversation last night. So, he's a perfect example of our youth today. They can't take criticism. They can't take no for an answer. And it's a perfect example of our youth. If you would not come on here tonight or even email me personally and tell me, hey, thanks for helping me out or trying to help me out instead of complaining about it, you know what? Maybe you weren't worth the time anyway, And we're just trying to help people out, and if you can't respect that, hey, go about your way,
Well, this is true, but you may be accurate, but you don't know what he's doing, and if he doesn't get back to you, then you are totally accurate. Maybe he will get back to you. As I mentioned before, if he's going to go out and get a job, then that's what he's going to have. He's going to have a job. And if anything goes wrong with that job, he's going to be right back to where he started in. You have to provide yourself, especially at his age, with multiple ways to produce an income. If he's 16, he's probably still going to school, so that's going to use most of his day, so he's going to be sort of stuck. But I mentioned a couple things he could be doing to provide himself income, and he could make a good income doing what I suggested. But evidently when you're what was that? Say that again for people that are listening. You could just go around the neighborhoods and pick up scrap metal, anything. Even newspapers, like I said, newspapers are worth money as scrap. But you need a truck and storage facilities for all this stuff.
Yeah.
But,
well, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have those. He doesn't have any machinery or equipment to go out and drive around the neighborhood. He doesn't have a driver's license. He has a driver's license, but he doesn't have a vehicle. He's broke. And a lot of our teenagers out there today are broke. So what could we do to help them to try to say, hey, there's a different way than walking around broke? And that's what we tried to do that night, but the door got slammed in his face,
Well, there were plenty of people out there that bought pencils for a nickel and sold them for a dime, and became quite wealthy. So I don't know where he lives or anything like this, but I'll tell you what right now. I could get up now, walk around the block or 2 blocks, find something on the ground, come in the house and sell it and put money in my pocket. I don't care what it is. I could do it. As a matter of fact, if you went on eBay, you could go around and pick up dog poop. You could do something to it and call it organic fertilizer, and somebody's going to buy it, and somebody's going to pay a lot for it. You could do anything that you want to do. If you're dependent on just doing physical labor, working for someone else, then that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. If you want to make some cash and be your own boss, well, you're going to have to start doing some thinking, and you're going to have to do some work. And the work is going to start from the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning until late at night. And there'll be no time for Facebook. There'll be no time for girlfriends. There'll be no time for drugs, alcohol, or anything else, because you're going to be too busy working on your future.
Well, you got that right, and that's the problem. There's too much idle times. These teenagers have too much time to go on Facebook and too much time. Like I think the discussion we had on a show a while back, everyone claims they're broke, the economy, bull crap. Plenty of jobs out there. There's plenty of money out there. The problem is people have too many non-essential bills. We got an internet bill. We got a cell phone bill. We got a house phone bill. We got, car insurance. We got this. We got that. We got this. You didn't have all these luxury items years ago. I don't remember my uncle on the farm saying I had to pay my cell phone bill. I bet today he pays a cell phone bill,
Well, that's just it. And actually, prices haven't gone up really. I mean, actually things have gotten a lot better. You could go back, 1,000 years, and with an ounce of gold, you can buy X. Today, with that ounce of gold, you can buy the same thing. So the only thing that's changed is the dollar amount. But back then, a daily wage was a quarter or 25 cents. What is it today? So your income has gone up as well. So things aren't really expensive. You're absolutely right. We're living in air-conditioned, heated homes. We have cars to drive. We have cell phones, computers, TVs, and all these things do cost money. And all in all, we're doing quite well considering what they did back in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s.
That's true. That's true. And people just don't understand. Like, for instance, for instance, this show. We try to help people out as much as we possibly can. They don't take advantage of this platform, and they refuse to call in. Like Mike said, I got 42 callers on the line right now. I got nobody pressing one who wants to call in. I just went through them all while you were talking. They just want to listen. But John took the first step last week. He called in, and he got the door slammed in his face, and he got discouraged about going. We tried to hook him up with a job in Wallingford, Connecticut, and it didn't work out. But you know what? I told him, listen, this is your first step forward, okay? You've got to continue knocking on that door so it'll open so you can walk through and get an opportunity in life.
Yeah, I got another thing up my sleeve for him, but I got to find out yet, and I haven't, so I'm not gonna say a word. But it's going to be totally up to him, and I'm going to have nothing to do with it. I'm just gonna open my mouth and talk. So, but that may transpire this week. I don't know. I got to get the time to go see the person. That's all.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. You're trying to help someone out. One of the callers that called in, like I said, I think like Mike out in Wisconsin, he talked about last week. Listen, this show is about understanding the times in which we live in today. Whatever topic you want to discuss or talk about, or that you may have on your mind that's concerning you, and there's a lot of news stories out there too, a lot of controversial issues. We talked about the Confederate flag one day. We talked about the gay marriage license issue a couple of weeks ago with Kim Davis in Kentucky, and there's several issues out there that concern people. And if you choose not to participate in this forum, then you know what? I don't think you really have a voice to complain, because you're not going to get on CNN and talk. You're not going to get on Fox and talk, Fox News and Friends, because you're not one of the chosen ones, and they're sure I'm not going to pay you for your story unless you did something really popular.
You're not even going to get through their answering system to talk to anybody. That's for sure.
That's right. And I try to give everyone that opportunity to call in and talk about, what's on their mind or an issue that's affecting them today. But, I get people logging in and out of the chat room. I got guests in the chat room right now, and they won't even type in the chat room. So, because I won't tolerate nonsense either. I don't want to talk about the girl down the road,
Well, it's like I said, too, there are plenty of bots out there. As a matter of fact, the Department of Homeland Security has set up offices. These are your tax dollars, people. Of course, nobody really gives two poops about anything anymore. All they care about is getting on Facebook. And nobody cares about anything anymore. But the fact of the matter is, your money... first of all, you can do anything you want in America, and so even if you're an ex-convict, you can get a job and you can do something. You just have to have your heart and soul set on it. And if you're a young man, you can go out and you can make money, but you're going to have to do it from the time your feet hit the floor. I mean, let's face it, even if you're a Muslim, you could probably become president of the United States. So you could do anything anymore. So at one time, gold was related to the price of bread. So you could buy so many loaves of bread for an ounce of gold, and you can go back and look that up, and you can see where the economy's going.
What about this issue? If anyone knows about it, this kid that got arrested for building a clock and bringing it to school, and they said it was
I heard about that.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Look. Who's been blowing things up for the last 30 years in this world? Muslims, right?
Yeah, well, of course.
All right.
Well, that's the ones we hear about.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, that's the ones we hear about. Okay, fine. But this Akshamat, or whatever the heck his name is, he brings a clock to school, okay? And they don't know what it is. He brings it to school saying, look what I built. What the hell do you think people are going to think? It's a bomb. You got people so brainwashed today, so they call the police department and they say, "Why'd you bring this to school?" And we don't know the whole story. I only know what I read, so they arrest them. Now they're talking about the parents put them. Yeah. Now they're talking about the parents put them up to it.
And that's right. We've got everybody in America paranoid. Guns go around and shoot people. As a matter of fact, you know what? Talking about that damn flag from down south, I went down the store the other day and that flag walked in, held up the damn store, and ran away with the money. That flag is no good. That flag is no good. Son of a gun.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you, just to be sarcastic, I heard a story that Confederate flag, it knocked on someone's door and convinced them to pick up a shotgun and go rob the store down and say, "Hey, I'm a white racist," you know?
Must have been that same damn flag I seen. That's right, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I got Mike who wants to call in from Wisconsin, so I'm going to put him on. Mike, go ahead, Mike.
And I'm going on hold.
Live. All right.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hi, Mike. I'm going on hold.
Okay. Yeah, I'm calling you. I'm driving, and I'm listening to the show. Okay. I think you got a very good topic tonight, Joe. And I don't know if I agree with you and my brother 100% or not. You got to trust people, okay, to a certain point. But I guess it all depends on what the person has done. You know, you said, Joe, that you don't trust anybody and don't trust people by their past. Well, if you don't trust them by their past, then you have no barometer to know whether you should trust the person now, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Mike, but what I'm saying is, do we have to always judge people and the character of their content based upon what they did in the past? Or should we just go my point was, should we base our judgments on how they are living today and what they can do for us, or what they are bringing to the table right now? Everyone has done something wrong in their past, and society categorizes it as to what that's bad. But hey, I don't think smoking pot's too bad, but some people think it's terrible. And that's what I'm trying to say is we put different levels of categorizing people, and it's screwing the society up, basically. It's screwing up the chain, the food chain.
Well, what I got to say is, like, John, going for the landscaping job, he would be under supervision, though, and, the only problem I see about the landscaping job is that, like here in Wisconsin, you can't operate a lawnmower until you're 18. You know what I'm saying?
Get out of here! Are you serious?
No, yeah, I'm serious. Motorized.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, if it's motorized, you have to be 18 years old. Like when we were running our kennel. We weren't supposed to let anybody snow blow the snow because it was a motorized machine, And
oh my Lord,
which is really stupid in my opinion. But
so you're telling me go ahead, Mike. You're telling me if I live out in the state of Wisconsin and my 12-year-old son wants to drive a tractor to cut my lawn, he can't. That's against the law.
If it's your child, that's different. We're talking about hiring people.
Oh, okay.
But farmers are exempt. That law is exempt for farmers. So, I could hire a 14-year-old. But all I want to do is say that I think people should trust people. But I wouldn't want to hire a murderer to babysit my kid. You know what I'm saying? Or a sexual offender. Or a sexual offender.
Well, what did I say, Mike? Use common sense. Obviously, if a guy has been convicted of raping 2 3-year-olds and he was just spent 10 years in prison,
right.
I'm not going to hire him to be a babysitter.
But that means that means you got to look at his past, correct?
Hell, yeah.
How you gonna know he did it if you don't look into his past?
Yeah. But what are the circumstances? Is his name Charlie Manson?
Yeah,
No,
you know. But here in Wisconsin, okay, if you're a sexual offender, you know, it carries such a heavy burden on you for the rest of your life. Here in Wisconsin, they, you know, you can't live more than, I don't know, I think it's 1,000 feet from a schoolyard. You know.
Same here, I think.
Yeah, or you know, and it's like, you know, I understand what you're saying.
But again, too. See, you're going to ruin somebody's entire life and probably their families too, and the state's not going to let you look over all the evidence they have, so you can make your own decision whether he was unjustly accused or
That's
what.
True.
So,
That's
right.
true.
So it's tit for tat or whatever, but you have to make a decision, and the only way you're going to make.
Hello?
Because you get accused of...
Joe, we just lost you for a minute. What happened?
Me?
Yeah, you just blacked right out on us.
Well, I was talking about things they didn't want me to say, I guess.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
No. So it's all valid points, and you have to use common sense and everything. And you're never going to be corrected if you're never going to get the chance. And it has to go back to the politicians to make sure these people do have the chance. And I know, but you got to use common sense.
Well, that's what I said in the beginning. You know, common sense. Use common sense. But Mike kind of got me backed into a corner there. He said, would you got to look at his past then? Well, you do, but should I judge it? But Mike, hang on. Am I going to, my point was, I want to analyze it a little bit deeper then. Am I judging him because of his past? Just because I look at his past, am I judging him? Well, like I said,
right. You got a guy convicted of murder. The situation is he walked in the store and he blew somebody away, or he was in the store and someone else came in to rob it and he shot that person. What's the difference? It's still murder.
True.
Right.
True. That's right.
So, right. And you know what? And if the person is underage, the state's not going to let you review anything, so you can find out the truth.
That's true. But Mike, you said go ahead, Mike. What do you think about the comment I just made there about? Okay, am I looking into his past? Yes, but am I judging him on his past? Yes or no? Well, let's use common sense, like Joe said. Obviously, I'm looking into the guy's past, and like I told you in the introduction, if the guy raped 3 children or murdered an 89-year-old woman and raped her, obviously, common sense says that bastard needs to be in jail for the rest of his life. I'm not going to hire him. But if some guy stole 3 TVs from Circuit City 10 years ago, come on. So what? Maybe he was,
I understand what you're saying, Joe. I mean, if somebody walked into Stop and Shop and, stole a bunch of groceries because his family's starving, I would look at that, with a lot different than if, somebody went in to rob Stop and Shop. Okay?
That's right.
And, so I know what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is, even though we don't want to judge people by their past, that's the only thing we have as a barometer to see, what this person, if somebody stole something out of a store, regardless of what it was. But that was the one time he did it, and the last 5 years he's been a excellent citizen and everything else. I mean, you got to take that into consideration.
Well,
Mike has a point, and Joe has a point, and by looking at that barometer, that person that's going to be applying for this job, I'm assuming that they can see and they can read and they can write and they can talk. So what you do is have them fill out an application thoroughly, and you call the people, and then you get them, and you get them to.
Now.
Well, that's their past, and you're going to find out on why he is the way he is. And like I said, was he the one shooting the clerk, or was he the one shooting the guy that was going to shoot the clerk? You'll find out
Mike,
the truth then.
Yeah, Mike, I didn't say nothing about looking into a person's past. I said judging them on their past. Now, and like I said in the introduction, we have got to use freaking common sense. But the problem is, Mike, today, corporations don't use common sense. It's across the board. If you're convicted of a felon, you're not getting a job, period.
Well, let's look at it this way, too. Nowadays, a young man like John goes in and applies to be a dishwasher, let's say. Okay?
Okay.
He fills out an application. The manager gets it, pulls up his Facebook account and looks at it and sees that he has all kinds of rotten things on there and everything else. I mean, people don't. You realize now that those Facebooks and Instagrams and Twitters and everything else, they're going to come back and haunt you.
That's why they're there.
But you see, that's judging somebody by their past. They didn't do it today, which is present. They did it in their past. So all I'm trying to say is, you have to use somebody's past as a barometer to see how they are today. Okay? If somebody comes into my store and says, "I need a job," I said, "Okay, fill out an application." He fills it out, and then I'll do exactly what Joey said. I'm going to call references and find out what kind of a person this gentleman is. If he has good references, I'm probably going to hire him. Okay,
but that's you, Mike. But that's you, Mike. But you see, the media and society itself does not operate that way. Like I said, it's a policy. It's across the board. If you've been convicted of a felony, you may as well not apply because it's across the board. You're not getting hired. You as an individual might have common sense, but most of our world does not. And that's why I brought the topic up, because I want people to turn a light bulb on and say, hey, let's make our own individual determinations about an individual on their past and then judge them on what they're doing today and move forward. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. I understand. And like John, I mean, they have bulletin boards all over the place nowadays. Grocery stores, convenience stores, you name it. There's a bulletin board, with people's business cards all up there and everything. John could write out a 3x5 index card saying, looking for a job.
True.
We'll take anything, and then have the phone numbers there, for them to rip off. It's just like my brother said. You got to hit the pavement.
That's right.
You can't sit back. You can't sit back and think the guy's going to come up, knock on the door, and say, "Oh, can you please take this job?"
Years ago, I used to go around to gas stations and collect all the old car batteries and turn them in and get money. Of course, nowadays you're not going to find too many people that are giving them away, but nowadays you will find many people giving them away, and you will find many people who repair automobiles giving away the scrap metal, the scrap engine blocks, and everything else that it's worth money.
That's true. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct.
It all boils down to his elbow grease. If you're going to sit back on the couch, you're not going to get a job.
Right.
If you get up and walk out the door,
something else he could do is learn how to fix something. Learn how to fix the engines of the equipment he works on. Learn how to repair the equipment that he uses. Now he's going to make himself more valuable to anybody he goes to work for in that trade.
That's right. That's true.
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
It all boils down to is, you're shining the spotlight on yourself. You go in and you apply for a job. You're nice. You're decent to the person, and who's giving you the application or talking to you. If they say we're not hiring, you don't say, you don't spin around just and run out the store or whatever. I mean, if that was the manager, guess what? Next time you come in, he might remember you.
Right.
Sure. So you got to put your best foot forward. and you have to put one foot in front of the other and keep trying. You know, decide
right.
And
if you go in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. and that manager catches on that you're coming in and talking to him every Wednesday at 2 p.m., the week that he's not there at 2 p.m., the next week you go in Tuesday at 11 in the morning and you ask him the same question, and he'll hire you to have you stop coming.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or you know, timing is everything. You know, just like I say, I went to Pratt Whitney for, you know, 3-4 months straight, every single day.
What's
And
Pratt and
finally,
Whitney,
the guy
Mike? Mike, I just got an email. What's Pratt and Whitney? Somebody asked me.
Pratt Whitney Aircraft. They're in North Haven, Connecticut, and they build jet engines. And,
All right.
You know, I was in what is called the atomic absorption area, and it was working with acids and things like that. But the guy basically gave me the job because he was sick of seeing me.
That's right. I made blades. The blades are what you see when you look at the back of a jet engine. Those big, long things.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to put 3 of those in a great big cup and fill it full of acid and let it sit for 12 minutes. And then they'd take the acid out of that and they would test it with a machine to see how much cerebin is in the acid, because the cerebin is what holds the part in place for machining.
Right.
And if there was a lot of cerebin left after it went through magwash, that part might have stress cracks in it. And then, you know, then it starts all over again.
Yeah.
There's an awful
That's
lot.
right.
There's an awful lot into building an engine. People just don't realize it.
Yeah, you're right, Mike.
And there's big money if you can learn how to fix them. Not jet engines, anything.
True.
Yeah, look at our stepbrother Gene. You know, he has a very nice business. He knows how to work on motors and fix everything. You know, and you know, just people. You know, I'll be the first one to say I'm not the best mechanic, but I can get by. But you know, if something major goes wrong, I'm gonna have to give him a call.
True. That's true, Mike. That's true.
You know, just like
Mike, how'd you make out with your golf cart?
Actually, I haven't done anything to it. I got a cousin coming over who's going to help me, and we're going to take the batteries out and see how much they're charged and everything. And I do believe 3 batteries are probably pretty weak, and I think that is the problem, because the other batteries look newer. These 3 batteries look like, you know, the cavemen used them. So, you know, they're pretty old.
Okay, I understand. Well, I wish you all the best of luck on that, on the golf cart situation.
Now, thank you, Joe. For instance, now, I just got out of my doctor's in Waukesha, Wisconsin. That's 35 miles away. And I listened to this show all the way home. I just pulled into my farm. I just pulled into my farm. And I listened to it all the way home. And I even dropped off some prescriptions at Walmart while you and Joey were discussing, you know, things. And so what I'm trying to say is, you know, if people don't have an excuse nowadays that to say, oh, I can't log in because, you know, I'm at the mall or I'm you know, standing on the street corner. Well, they can pick up their phone and they can text 5,000 times a month, you know, calling into a show, you know, 15 times a month is nothing. And just like you've been saying, this show can really catch on to help people. You know, I have nowhere to call if I need help. I can't call anybody. You know,
True.
but if people started realizing that, you know, they could call in and say, you know, does anybody know algebra? Does anybody know, you know, whatever. I mean,
we can all help each other, Mike, like you said. Right now in the chat rooms, I'm the fourth most listened show right now that's broadcasting. The fourth most listened to show. If you log into Blog Talk Radio and you log on to the internet in the chat room, I'm the fourth most. And the problem is I can only have so many people in my chat room because, like Joe said in Meredith, the bandwidth. And I only have so much bandwidth. And a lot of people can't get onto the show. And that is true. I've gotten complaints about that where they say I tried calling in and I can't get through. Because if we have so many people, they can't get through. And I understand, but at the same time, bandwidth costs money. And I'll try to expand it a little bit more, and I'll write to Blog Talk Radio. I'll send them an email, and if there's anything they could do to help me out where I can get, a couple hundred more people live in the chat room, because right now I have 30 people trying to log on. They're sending me messages, and they're telling me that I can't get on. So I don't know what to do,
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather have too many people than not enough.
Well, that's true, but I just want more people, participating in the show itself. I'd like to hear more opinions because I can handle 50 calls, and I haven't had 50 live callers yet. I had up to 40, 42, 45, the biggest night I ever had. But nobody presses one, Mike. Nobody wants to get on here. And that's the problem.
Before every show, have an auction, and you get the highest bidders get it.
Well,
I'm only kidding.
Well,
the American way.
Yeah, I've got to wrap it up because I've got to wrap up the show because it is getting late. So, anyway, anything else you guys want? Mike, final thoughts for tonight?
Well, I think you did a good job. I wish John luck. I know. I don't know how close he lives to a McDonald's, but that's money in your pocket, and it's good experience. You have to do something to get some experience under you. Just so the next employer you go to, you can say, well, I worked at McDonald's, or I worked at Burger King, I worked at Wendy's, or whatever. Don't think the job is beneath you, because if you want a job that you think is beneath you, come on out and I'll put you to work on the farm. And you handle stuff you never thought you would. But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, true. Well, how about you, Joe? Any final thoughts for tonight on the introduction or anything else that you thought you might have wanted to talk about?
All drugs are experimental, and all drugs are put through rigid tests where the drug companies pay for the test results. And if they don't get the results they want, they'll conduct another test until they do. So they work to fix the symptoms. They don't work on the actual problem. They're all poison, and they will all kill you.
That's right. All right, well, hang on. I got somebody, I was asking me. Oh, okay. All right, I was just getting a message from the chat room. That's all. I just wanted to relay it, but I guess they're talking amongst themselves. All right, but anyway, hey, thanks. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., we'll be on. I took a few days off to give everybody a break, the supporters. And, plus I wasn't feeling too well. I had a little cold. So, but tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., I hope to hear everybody tomorrow night. And I'm like I said, I'm trying to get a couple of guests lined up where we can all contribute together and get a panel lined up. And I really want to get the Earth Fair store on from Greensboro, North Carolina. So I'm going to call them tomorrow and see if I can get somebody on. And that'll be really good for you, Joe. So hopefully we get somebody on and talk about some healthy food. You know what I mean? All right, guys.
Good night.
Go ahead, Joe. All right, thank you. Good night. God bless. Take care.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority.
You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children, not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-neck ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there, I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who's going to defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscle. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life, and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victories against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision.
When a silent majority allows their nation to lose its common sense, that nation is lost, and you are allowing them to take your country away from you. Is it common sense to adore at the altar of multiculturalism? Read your world history. Not one nation has survived as a multiculture. It's the uniculture that is your strength. One country, one culture, one language. Is it common sense that 84% of the people want to make English the official language of America, but your majority political party espouses insanity, ignores the people, and says no? Is it common sense that 53 countries, mostly in Africa, have declared English to be their national language, and the party who declares we will unite you says press 2 for Spanish? Is it common sense to adopt your new national religion of diversity when the very word means disunity? We founded a country on similarities, not diversities. One country, one culture, one language. You cry out for unity, but is it common sense to continue to identify yourselves by your ethnicities and not your nationalism? White-America, Black-America, Chinese-America, Hispanic-American, gay and lesbian-American, the Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, the Women's Caucus. You want unity? Change your language. Isn't it time, once again, we all became just plain Americans? Or is that too much common sense? Is it your new common sense now to stand up and cheer when a presidential candidate wants to hand over the health care system to that same government who has run Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and 12 other entitlement programs into bankruptcy? A government bureaucracy who can't run a railroad, your airports, secure your borders, or find 15 to 20 million illegal aliens. That same government that allows Islamic women to take their driver's license picture wearing a neck scarf covering their face because it offends their belief. What's next? Allowing the Ku Klux Klan wearing their hoods? Is it common sense to bankrupt the American Treasury? Fighting wars for countries whose silent majority won't fight for themselves? Your debt is now $9.4 trillion. Is it common sense to continue to give away $9 billion of taxpayer money to unfriendly countries in foreign aid, including $2 billion a year to Egypt, who votes against the United States 80% of the time in the United Nations? All this while your own inner cities crumble. 40% of your high school graduates can only read or write at a 4th grade level. You have to import people from China and India for your high-tech industry because you haven't got enough smart people in America. And New Orleans and the flood victims of Iowa continue to be forgotten. This is madness. Lay down your misplaced global burden and rebuild America first. You can't support the world while neglecting your own country. Are you unifying the country with common sense when both of your presidential candidates cry out, we must show compassion for the 15 to 20 million invaders from south of your border? But not one word of compassion for the overburdened American taxpayer who is forced to subsidize the invaders by paying over $250 billion of their hard-earned money to establish America as the welfare department of a failed, corrupt foreign country. Are you unifying your country with common sense by sending out your utility bills and your Social Security checks in Spanish? Legal and illegal immigrants have no incentive to learn your unifying language because you make it easy for them not to assimilate. How many of you write in big letters across that bill, English only, please, and send it back? Stop bending over backwards to accommodate every other culture but your own. Is it common sense to allow your activist judges to ignore your history, your culture, your Declaration of Independence, and every other founding document to remove God from public life? And endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, their Creator, not the ACLU, not the will of the atheist, or the anti-Americans that sit on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. Separation of church and state, yes. Separation of God from public life, never intended by your founding fathers. Is it common sense that the very political party who claims to be the party of the people and shouts, we will bring change, consistently stops all common sense legislation to secure your borders, establish workplace verification, and stop taxpayer money for illegals? They call themselves progressive global thinkers.